On March 2, TA 3019, Aragorn enters the hall where King Théoden was, after having believed him lost in the attack of the wargs, and reports what he saw, a host of at least 10,000 Uruk-hai from Isengard who have been sent by Saruman aiming to destroy the people of Rohan. King Théoden questions him about what he saw, and Aragorn assures that they will arrive by nightfall, so they immediately begin preparations for the imminent siege, since indeed, the enemy army would arrive at the fortress at midnight on March 3rd. The king ordered that every man and boy capable of bearing a weapon be prepared for a battle that night, after which he proceeded to improve the castle's defenses, including the gate, which was reinforced with additional wood. Aragorn advised Théoden to ask for help, but he replied that no one would come, that Rohan has no friends left like him, and that if this was to be the end for them, he would make it one worth commemorating. While the women and children were led to the Aglaron caves for safety, the peasants were armed with bows, swords, spears, axes, and shields, at which point Aragorn and Legolas had a heated argument about their little chances of success. As night falls, the king prepares for battle, expressing his doubts to his lieutenant Gamelin, who reassures him that his people trust him, and his men will follow him no matter the end. Late at night, and finalizing the preparations, Aragorn and Legolas make peace, while the sound of a horn surprises everyone, since it is not an orc horn, but an elf's horn, as Legolas clarifies, and they all go out to their meeting, including the king. A company of a few hundred elves from Lórien led by Haldir was sent by Elrond to help, honoring the ancient alliances between elves and men. The elves arrived just before the invading army, and some took up defensive positions behind the wall as a rear-guard force, while others positioned themselves on top of the deeping wall that starts from the citadel and rises to the southeast, completely enclosing the access to the deep, which is a 20-foot-high wall of stone and wide enough for 4 men to walk abreast. The parapet was high enough that only a tall man could look over it, although there were slits allowing the defenders to shoot arrows at attackers. The outer face of the wall was smooth and curved outward at the top, making it harder for attackers to raise ladders. At a prudent distance, the commander of the Uruks stood on a rock and ordered with a mighty roar that the troops stop, an order which was complied with by all. While Aragorn gave a speech in Elvish to his allies, to encourage them in the battle that's about to start, reminding them that they should not have mercy on the enemy, since they will not receive it in return. A moment of tension-filled silence was broken as the Uruk-hai began to roar, like some kind of war cry intended to demoralize their enemies, while the archers drew their strings tight, ready to fire at any moment. The battle began when an archer named Haldir accidentally shot an arrow that killed one of the Uruk warriors, stopping their war chant and enraging them, while their leader, with an equally powerful roar, ordered to start the attack. The Uruks began their advance to the walls, while Aragorn ordered the elves, both those on the wall and those below, to prepare their bows and arrows until the enemy was close enough for them to shoot, and at the same time Rohan's archers, who were in the section above the fortress guarding the causeway, began firing their arrows as well, inflicting heavy casualties on the Uruks until they were able to respond with their crossbows, which had less range, but were just as lethal, and the elves began to suffer casualties. The enemy, already being close to the walls, began to bring siege ladders to be able to climb the walls, in different sections of it, leading the attack by the powerful Uruk-hai berserkers, while the elves drew their swords and prepared for the hand-to-hand combat in which the battle ensues. The berserkers cause several casualties to the elves, followed by regular Uruk-hai warriors who begin to invade the walls, at the same time that Legolas and Gimli begin their particular duel over who kills the most enemies. Legolas quickly took advantage thanks to his bow, while Gimli mounts on a battlement and begins to kill enemies faster. As the fighting intensifies on the walls, the Uruk-hai advance on the causeway, covering with their shields a battering ram preparing to break through the entrance, while being attacked by elves and Rohan's archers with arrows, spears and even rocks, but slowly the enemy manages to get closer and closer. At the same time, and unknown to the defenders, the Uruk fill the small drain, the only weak point of the walls, with explosive mines, until a berserker begins to run into the drain with a torch, and although Legolas manages to shoot him several times, he reaches his objective, causing a significant section of the wall to explode and open a breach, which the Uruk can penetrate through the defensive perimeter, as well as inflicting several casualties on the elves, and knocking out Aragorn for a while. The Uruks waste no time and begin to crowd into the newly opened breach while the others take advantage and manage to reach the entrance and begin to crash into it with the battering ram. Gimli pounced on the Uruks to prevent them from reaching Aragorn, who was on the ground unconscious, giving him time to recover. Then he organized the elves, who before proceeding to charge with their swords, fired a volley of arrows at the Uruks and again resumed bloody hand-to-hand combat. Théoden, shocked at the destruction of the wall, and seeing that the elves cannot hold off the enemy any longer, orders them to retreat back into the fortress, through the stairs leading to a side entrance. All the while, among the chaos, Haldir is seriously wounded and dies shortly after in the arms of Aragorn, who is the last to withdraw. Immediately afterwards, the Uruks manage to breach the main entrance, and the king personally goes with his retinue, to prevent the enemy from entering. Just then, Aragorn and Gimli arrive, and using a small side door, they jump out. Well, in Gimli's case, he is thrown, and together, they manage to flank the Uruk-hai, buying some time for the doors to be shored up, fighting against multiple enemies at the same time. While all this is going on, the Uruk bring ballistas which use ropes attached to their ladders, to help them climb safely to the battlements above the gate, which are taller than the deeping wall. After the entrance is reinforced, Aragorn and Gimli barely escape with the help of Legolas, who throws a rope and helps them up. But at that moment, under pressure from all sides, Théoden orders a general retreat to the citadel, while the Uruk break through the entrance and flow into the fortress. A few hours before dawn, the enemy is already waving his banner in the fortress. All that remains is to conquer the citadel, which they are already besieging with the battering ram. Inside are the last survivors, including Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Théoden, and a few Rohirrim, who decide to send the women and children down a small passage leading into the mountains, while Aragorn convinces the king to ride out and attack them, at the same time that Gimli sounds the horn of Helm Hammerhand. With Théoden taking the lead, the horsemen manage to charge against the enemy, with such impetus that they break through until they reach the very entrance, killing many enemies on the way. At that moment, in the distance, Aragorn catches a glimpse of Gandalf, riding Shadowfax, accompanied by Eomer and a mighty host of Rohan's horsemen, who immediately charge up the steep ridge towards the left flank of the enemy army. The Uruk-hai, though surprised, respond to the challenge by sending their pikemen to face the horsemen, but just as they are about to charge the enemy, the sun rises just behind them, blinding many Uruks, so that they lose the cohesion in their formation and receive a direct hit from the horsemen, who, after a brief hand-to-hand combat, flee demoralized. The riders pursue them for a brief period of time, but stop and allow them to retreat and enter a forest that appeared during the night, and which the Uruk-hai did not know were actually Huorns, half-ent and half-common tree, which ended up massacring the less than 5,000 enemies that had survived the battle. The Battle of the Hornburg was critical to the survival of Rohan and to its participation in the War of the Ring as a whole. Had the Rohirrim lost the battle, their people as a whole would have been obliterated by the rampaging legions of Saruman's Uruk-hai and would not have been able to aid Gondor at the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Merry and Pippin's persuasion of Treebeard to attack Isengard was critical as well, guaranteeing Rohan's survival for a time.